On a misty spring morning in Kent, England, the soft calls of birds echoed through the lush greenery of Howletts Wild Animal Park. Tansy Aspinall awoke not to the sounds of city life, but to the chorus of nature. Born into a world where wildlife was not a spectacle, but family, Tansy was the only daughter of Djalta Aspinall, a passionate conservationist and chairman of the Aspinall Foundation. From her earliest days, Tansy's life unfolded in close proximity to some of the world's most endangered and misunderstood creatures, gorillas. These were not zoo exhibits or distant wildlife, but living, breathing companions. Her father's work involved rescuing orphaned or injured western lowland gorillas, rehabilitating them, and ultimately preparing them for return to their natural habitats in the wild. Among these animals were Djalta and Bimms, two young gorillas who became Tansy's constant companions. As a toddler, she learned to walk under Djalta's watchful gaze. Bimms became her playful sibling, and the three spent their days in what could only be described as a unique, interspecies childhood. The interactions were always carefully supervised, yet genuine bonds of affection developed, deep, lasting, and extraordinary. These moments were not only treasured by the family, but also filmed and documented by Djalta to challenge misconceptions. He believed that trust, love, and empathy could bridge the gap between humans and wild animals, especially when cultivated from a young age. On her 5th birthday, Tansy received a necklace from her father, a small pendant shaped like a gorilla. "You are a bridge between our worlds," he told her, with a voice full of pride. "The gorillas accept you as one of their own. That is a rare gift, and a responsibility." It was a moment that would shape her identity for life.
But childhood innocence is not immune to reality. As Tansy grew older, she began to understand the purpose behind her father's mission. Gorillas like Djalta and Bimms were not meant to live in enclosures forever. They were destined to return to their homeland, to the dense jungles of Central Africa, where they could live freely and contribute to the survival of their species. At the age of 11, Tansy overheard the serious conversations among conservationists, veterinarians, and biologists. The time had come for Djalta and Bimms to return to the wild. It was a difficult truth. Though proud of what her friends represented, Tansy felt a deep sadness, the kind of loss only a child who is loved and let go can understand. On the day of their departure, the reserve buzzed with quiet urgency. The transport crates were prepared with meticulous care. Tansy remained close to her gorilla friends, gently stroking their hands, whispering her goodbyes. "You're going home," she said softly, "to a place where you belong." Djalta, with almost human gentleness, touched her head as if in acknowledgement. As the trucks drove away, carrying a piece of her heart into the unknown, Tansy stood watching, not just as a child bidding farewell to friends, but as a future conservationist who understood the gravity of that moment. In the years that followed, Tansy dedicated herself to continuing her father's legacy. She pursued conservation studies, participated in global initiatives, and worked closely with wildlife organizations. Yet the memory of Djalta and Bimms never faded. They had been more than animals to her. They were family. At the age of 23, that quiet longing transformed into action. Driven by a deep desire to see how her old friends had adapted, Tansy launched an expedition to Gabon, the Central African country where Djalta and Bimms had been released 12 years earlier. Accompanied by a team of conservation biologists and documentarians, she ventured into the depths of the jungle, a place teeming with beauty, danger, and memory. Guided by local trackers and radio collar data, the team journeyed for days through thick vegetation. Every sound and scent stirred Tansy's soul, echoing the years she had once shared with two gorillas who, by now, had likely become fully reintegrated into wildlife. Then, deep within the jungle, the group approached a clearing. Movement rustled in the underbrush. A figure emerged, tall, powerful, and unmistakable. It was Bimms. The gorilla stopped and looked directly at Tansy. Silence fell. The cameras rolled. Time seemed to pause. Tansy stepped forward cautiously, her voice barely above a whisper. "Bimms, it's me, Tansy." Bimms stared, his head tilted, his eyes locked onto hers. Then, from the depths of memory, recognition sparked. He made a low, familiar sound, one she hadn't heard in over a decade. Gently, he stepped closer. What followed stunned even the seasoned conservationists in the group. Bimms extended his hand, and Tansy, tears glistening in her eyes, reached out. Their hands met. Then, with a quiet calm, Bimms pulled her into an embrace, a moment of reunion that defied explanation, that defied species, that transcended time. For hours, Tansy watched Bimms and his troop. He had grown into a dominant, respected silverback, caring for his family with a quiet dignity. Seeing him thriving in his natural environment, she felt an overwhelming sense of pride and closure. The mission her father had started had worked. As dusk settled over the rainforest, it was time to say goodbye once more. This farewell, though, was different. There were no tears, only a shared understanding, a bond renewed, a journey completed. Tansy whispered her promise, to continue fighting for the protection of wildlife and the natural world. Bimms gave her one last look, then turned and disappeared into the dense canopy, returning to his family. His world. Tansy left the jungle changed. The experience was more than a reunion. It was a validation of everything she had believed since childhood. The story, captured on film, touched millions across the globe, becoming a powerful symbol of hope and harmony between humans and nature. Today, Tansy Aspinall continues her work with the Aspinall Foundation, advocating for rewilding, ethical conservation, and the protection of endangered species. Her reunion with Bimms stands as a testament to the enduring power of love, memory, and our shared responsibility to the planet. In a world too often divided by walls, between species, between people, between past and present, their embrace was a bridge. A moment that reminded us all, the wild remembers.